Hello, everybody. I'm back. I am always dizzy. Back with my round 3 report from the 2022 Jack Taylor Memorial. Um, as a reminder, I had won the first game against a 1800 rated player, and then I lost the second game against a 1900 rated player. And in the third round here, I was playing Andrew Shu, who is another strong player, 1976, CFC rated. There's no easy games this tournament for me because I'm playing in the highest rated section, the premier section. So even though I was 1 out of 2, I'm still playing another 1900 rated player. Now, I played Andrew earlier in the year, about 10 months prior, and he kicked my ass. I mean, I was actually I was a little bit better in the opening, but I didn't capitalize on it properly. And then he just rolled me over. It wasn't even close. So I know that he's a strong player. It's another young player. I'm not sure about his age, kind of hard to tell. Maybe like 13, 14 years old, maybe. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. This was the second round of the second day. I do think I prepared for him. Like I think I walked back to my hotel, and then I might have had like 10 minutes or 15 minutes of prep. And the last time I played him, he was white, and so I assumed we would play the same opening. So anyways, the game went e4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5 check, knight d7. He didn't seem super happy to see knight d7. Just the way his mannerisms and expression. A lot of players don't like it when I play knight d7 because it's not. Most people play bishop d7 here, but that's partly why I like knight d7. And then he castled, and this surprised me because the last time we played, he played c4, and I'm thinking that he actually played too quickly here, and he forgot that his repertoire move is c4. And the reason, it comes shortly why I think that's the case. But I was actually a bit disappointed that he castled here because the prep I did was for c4. And I didn't have time to look at this line. But I think this is the main line actually anyways, casting. I played a6. Yeah, and after I played a6, this is when my opponent didn't really seem happy. And if I had to guess, I think this is when he realized, I forgot c4. It just seemed, again, I'm just basing things off of my opponent's demeanor. But yeah, he ended up playing bishop e2, which is, I think, the most popular line here. And I could be totally wrong, but I think this is when he realized that he normally plays c4. And one of the differences is if you play c4 here and then a6, white can actually keep this pin on this a4 e8 diagonal because b5 is not. Well, I guess maybe b5 is still playable there. No, sorry. We just do the pawn. Yeah, so b5, is not playable, and he gets to keep the bishop there. So I'm thinking that that's what happened. Let me just delete that. And that he forgot that he normally plays c4 there. But I'm just speculating. I played knight gf6. This is still pretty much main line anyways, more or less. d3. I played g6. It was a toss-up between e6 and g6. And he played rook e1, bishop g7, c3. I castled. and he played bishop f1, which seems pretty natural because the bishop probably doesn't want to hang out on e2 forever. And it also strengthens threats like e5, now that the rook is back into business on the e-file. And possibly he might fianchetto it later, the bishop, and control the g2 a8 diagonal. I played b5, just expanding on the queen side. He played bishop f4, which is annoying to deal with in general. The more I play against d4 openings, and the more I see bishop f4, that's always annoying because it just puts a lot of pressure on d6. And it's just an annoying thing to have to deal with. Like I can't really play e6 anymore, and queen c7, queen c7 in some cases can become dangerous because of the pin on my queen, and it just develops his bishop. So it's a good move from him. I just realized I put this note in the wrong position, but that's okay. Oh, hang on 1 second. Okay, never mind. That's right. Okay, so yeah, here I played knight h5. And it turns out that this is actually a mistake. Not a huge mistake, but a mistake. It turns out that in this position, knight h5 isn't really that good. That the bishop can just move, and my knight isn't really good hanging, sticking on h5. And that eventually it'll probably just need to go back to f6. But if you remember from round 2 in my previous game, I played knight h5 in that against... Oh wait, was that round 1? Shoot, I already forgot. What was round 2? No, I think I'm thinking of round 1 where I played knight h5 and it worked out for me. But that was against the London, where so it's a little bit different. But yeah, here I guess it's just not as good because the bishop can just retreat, and the bishop is still better on one of these squares than it is on the original square. But my knight ends up being stuck on h5, and if I go back to f6, he basically got to get his bishop to one of these squares for free. So if this was shut down, then of course this would be a good move because I can just trade my knight for his bishop. So knight h5 was not the best move here. He played bishop e3. I played bishop e7. Oh, I just want to say that one of the reasons, I mean, I didn't just do it randomly to attack the bishop, but I thought that having this open diagonal for my bishop would be quite good. I have more control over the center, and I just thought that would be a good idea. Okay, so I played bishop e7 here. He plays queen d2. Really just looking to trade off the dark squared bishops and remove one of my defenders. There's not really anything I can do about this. Like it's going to happen. So I played rook e8. He proceeds with bishop h6, and I played bishop h8, which was fine, and the computer likes it. But I'm not so used to having this type of position, and this turned out to be like I think the position here is actually somewhat equal. I think white might be slightly better, but it's fairly equal. But it's still kind of uncomfortable because my bishop, I don't know, it's just very awkward on h8. But this is still decent for black. He plays d4. The computer didn't like d4 that much for white. I think it might be because he's kind of opening up the center, which is exactly what my bishops wants these open diagonals. So it doesn't quite love d4 for white here. I took, he takes back. I played rook c8. So rook c8 is not a great move. This allows a4, which isn't a problem when my rook is still on a8. But now, after I move the rook away from the a file, a4 is a problem because he's attacking b5, and I can't really defend that well. And instead of rook c8, this was one of many moves where the computer wants me to just bring back the knight that's on h5 back to f6. This is, it just thinks, yeah, it's not doing anything great on f6, and maybe, and I was actually thinking about that, but it's hard to make that move, you know, make that concession. But yeah, it wants to bring it back and have a more of an influence on the center. I mean, plus we are doing something directly. I guess if he tries to defend it, maybe knight c3. I'm not sure what the follow-up would be, but at least the knight is doing something. Yeah, possibly I could even look to put it onto g4 after that and hit his bishop. Something like that. Okay, so he does play a4. And I think I thought for a while here, because, yeah, this was frustrating. My position, I just felt terrible. I just felt like I'm getting completely crushed. Just like the last time we played. My position was so awkward. These two pieces are just horrendous. And my queen is awkward. Black has nothing going for it. So I took. He took with the rook. I played knight b6. Sorry. He plays rook a1. And here I made a mistake, which the computer didn't like at all. I haven't looked into this really deep yet. I'm not sure if I ever will, but yeah, the computer doesn't like it. I'm not sure. Like, what would you guys play here? It's hard to find a decent move, but yeah, I mean, apart from knight f6, which is probably the best move. Actually, hang on. Our pawn is under attack here. So I forget what the best move actually is at this point. We might even just have to give up that pawn. But I play knight c4. So a natural move, we're getting the knight active and we're blocking the bishop from attacking a6. And I don't know, to me it was natural. I guess, if I had to guess why the computer doesn't like this, it's probably for two reasons. One, I'm not sure how long we can keep this knight here. I think it can get kicked off fairly easily. And also, it's not really doing anything here. I mean, I guess it is blocking this attack. And it is attacking the queen, but it's very short term, right? I think the reason it doesn't work is really just due to tactics. I don't think it's really a positional thing. So he played queen b4, which gave me a bit of a heart attack at first. You know, attacking two pieces. I thought it was game over when I first looked at it. But I have a couple of resources, one of them being queen b6, which is what I played. He took, which is a mistake. It's a mistake because there's a tactic here for white. You can try to find it. I'll take a sip of water while you think of a winning move here for white. Rook a4 is the winning move because my knight is trapped. And if I don't even think I can defend it. I think I just straight up lose the knight. Yeah, so he had that opportunity, but I can totally see him just taking the queen because he's already crushing the position. And he will win a pawn, I think, in a couple moves anyways. So I could see him not needing to look for a really good move here. He took my queen. I took back. He played knight c3. And then you're going to laugh on the next move I made. I played knight c4 again. I mean, I didn't know at the time that it wasn't a good move, but yeah, so I just went there again. You know, if you don't see the issue the first time, you probably won't see it the second. And again, I think it's just really not good, probably just due to tactics, because eventually I'm going to get kicked out, and then there's still this pressure on a6. He plays knight a4. And then so up to this point, I'm worse, but it's still playable. I think it's like about -1, maybe -1.5. Let me turn on the engine. It might kill my recording, but let me turn on the engine for a few seconds here. Yeah, it might disrupt my recording, but okay. Yeah, so the position is just over +1 for white. If I find the best move. If I find the second best move, it's about +1.8. So it's better for white, but it's still playable for black. It's still a game. But after my next move, it's like completely losing. It's like +4, I think. +3 or +4. And yeah, so the move I played was d5, which is very natural, right? Because we are securing the knight. And if he takes, I'm getting my bishop active, opening up the center for the other bishop. I don't know. To me, it was a very natural move. The reason it doesn't work is, I think, due to tactics. So he plays e5. And I wasn't scared of this because I thought if he locks down the center, that's great for me. I could probably get this bishop out, just bishop g7, and I have ways to get it out. And I can play e6 later. Maybe reroute my knight this way. I don't know. I thought that this was not a move I had to fear. But the reason I believe d5 was not good is just because of a little combo sequence. Probably just because he can kick out my knight and actually my knight has nowhere to go if you look at it. My knight can't retreat here. So b3 is a problem already. Like my pieces are very awkward, and then he can hit my bishop, and then my knight's under attack. I think that's why. So it's a tactical sequence of why this is not good, because this is a threat. If I go here, then he has knight c5, hitting my bishop and my knight at the same time. I play bishop c6, and yeah, he goes b3. I have no choice but to take. He goes rook takes a4, knight b6, and I lose the pawn. And that was the best I could have gotten out of that. So I don't lose a piece, but I lose a pawn. And I think that's the reason why d5 was not good. Take another sip of water. And yeah, I think this is like +4 for white. Just completely losing for me. I played on a little bit just because you never know, right? So I played rook b8. He plays rook c1. Knight d7. Rook a7. Knight f8. Rook b1. Just getting ready to push that b pawn. Knight e6. b4. Here it comes. I played knight hg7. Finally moving that knight. Bishop takes, b5. And at this point, like, I mean, I already know that I'm losing, but I just got to go for broke. There's nothing I can do. So I took a little bit of a chance. I took on d4. I took here, and I didn't see this fork when I did that. My idea was maybe I have like a 3% chance of drawing if I can maybe sack the bishop for this pawn, and then if I get these, maybe, and then I like trade off. I don't know. It would I need a miracle, but if I had, because I have these 5 connected pawns against 3, possibly I can get a miracle draw. That was just what I was thinking, but I knew I was dead. But after knight c6, it was really over. I played a few more moves just because, and then I resigned here. A tough game. Like, I just got completely steamrolled. It was not a close game, just like the first time we played. He is a tough opponent for me. He's crushed me twice now. Like, just, yeah, completely decimated me both games. So one of the toughest opponents I've faced, I think. Just how easily he's beaten me both times. So where did I go wrong? Really, I think it's d5 was completely losing, but that's kind of a hard one because that's a very easy thing to miss, I think. But I think the move that was totally avoidable was when I played knight h5. And this isn't losing, but it's something that would have given me a much better fight. So knight h5 to begin with was not a good move, but at the same time, I had the opportunity later to return it back to f6 and put it on a better square. So I had many opportunities that I could have done that instead of making moves like rook c8 or, well, I didn't have, yeah, the other thing was knight c4. The computer didn't like. That was kind of another mistake I made. But also that's kind of a difficult one, I think, to have I think it's an easy move actually to make, an easy mistake to make. Instead of knight c4, I should have brought this knight back. Or, whoa, should I have? Yeah, maybe I could have, or at least considered it. I would lose the a pawn, but then I would gain the e pawn. Yeah, so I needed to bring this rein in this knight back, and knight c4 was not good because of tactics. But this is kind of a hard thing to answer. And then it was d5, which was the huge blunder of the game. But I think it's a hard position to play for black, honestly. So it's just, the main thing, like the knight c4 and the d5, I think those are, for me personally, those are not easy things to see why they're mistakes. But this is something that I can more easily improve upon in the future, is bringing this knight back when it's really not doing anything on h5, and also just not going there to begin with, because in such a position, back here, in such a position, he can just move the bishop back, and at the end of the day, his bishop is still pretty well placed compared to my knight. My knight's not really going to do anything there. So that's kind of what I learned from the game. So that was round 3. So I had 2 losses on the second day, but to be honest, I was still feeling pretty decent because of that win in the first round against Paul LeBlanc, who was, beating it in 1800. Still feeling pretty good about that. Plus these 2 games I was black. Not that color makes a huge difference at my level, but it does make a bit of a difference. What was I going to say? Yeah, not much other than stay tuned for round 4, which I would have up in another couple of days from now or so. I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos thus far. I did notice a few new subscribers, so I'm pretty happy about that. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, or share my channel with others. I've been working on it for about 4 years now, maybe even a bit over 4 years, and still at about 620 subscribers. So if I could grab a few more, that would be great. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll have round 4 up soon enough. Thank you.